Against? Carried. Kia ora. Our last presentation, and kia ora Metua. And Metua, it's good to see you again. And if you could please introduce your two support people, that would be great. Kia ora na.
Kia ora ana, me taki maata, Councillor Filipaina. Kia ora ana koutou katoa toa, te oro o mata o te soa. Talofa lava, whakalofalahi atu malo lei, taloha nei, bula vinaka, namaste, kamna Māori, and warm Pacific greetings to each and every one of you. Thank you for the opportunity to present briefly. My colleagues here are Stephanie Eric Tautolo and Fole Finau, and we will discuss a little more about the different hats that we're wearing. I'm just going to introduce a little bit about Pacific Health and Welfare, and I don't know if... do you have our PowerPoint?
Yeah, and the presentation, councillors, independent Māori statutory board members, is on the hub.
Awesome. So I'll just give you a little brief on Pacific Health and Welfare, and then I'll get Stephanie to focus on the recommendations that we have. Just to let you know also that Fole is from Sport Waitakere, and we have apologies from about 12 other people who would love to have been here today, but just as well they didn't come because they might have been sacked by now. None the least of which is Bruce Levy, General Manager of Pacific Health from ADHB and Waitemata DHB. So Pacific Health and Welfare was formed in 1983, so almost 36 years ago. We have a membership of over 200 individuals and organisations. We have an Access Community Radio program that's been going for over 30 years in New Zealand, and delivers weekly programs in 6 languages of the Pacific. Our vision is for Pacific peoples at our greatest, and our volunteer NGO covers health, education and welfare, so basically anything that impacts on Pacific people in New Zealand. We're primarily based in Auckland, but we do have a national interest as well. Our objectives are to share support and to strengthen each other in the different fields that we work in. And so we have representatives from Healthy Families, Heart Foundation, Stroke Foundation, Diabetes New Zealand, DHBs, PHOs, the different ministries of health, education, social development, you name it. Every Pacific representative that's out there, we introduce them to the group. And Alf, you were on there yourself for a number of years, and Councillor Bartley. And so our role is to provide a Pacific equity lens in these areas of health, education and welfare. We support the plan in principle, and of course the challenge is in the how. Pacific Health and Welfare have a lot of expertise in Pacific communities, and so as we give you our recommendations, we will share with you some of the how. Thank you, Stephanie.
Te pū, tuia. Te pū, tuia. Whakaaloa whalahi atu ki motolosi ahu nei. Tā alofa tele lava ma lole lei. Kia ora ana koutou katoa toa. Tēnā koutou katoa. Ko waio, ko Stephanie Eric toku ingoa, ko Ngāti Niue ahau, ko Maungurei toku maunga, ko e New Zealand toku waka, ko Hāpai te hauora tāpui, taku mahi ko au, ko kai, whakahaere ahau. When I saw the action plan, I was actually really excited to see it. I'm not in this space no longer, but I've been working in the smoke-free space for over the last sort of 20 years. I did 2 master's degrees in it and so forth and so forth. What's really important for me today is how this action plan involves our community at the very outset, and I'm so excited about it. The words itself excite me. By people, for people. Wow. Activating smoke-free public places, because as it's been said before, our communities are not reading the posters and the pamphlets and the signs all the time. But these words, celebration, interactive events, stop smoking, competitions, this is great. And this is interactive. And so well done, council team. You have listened to some of the kōrero that's come back from our communities. And for once, I'm seeing a difference in how we deliver the work, how we do this kaupapa as a community. So I've been part of policy, I've been part of national policy at ASH as the national director in Tala Pacifica, when we set that up as a Pacific Voice to have input into policies and programs that will affect our communities. In this instance, we have communities telling us what to do, and I love that. So Mitua's talked about Pacific Health and Welfare. We speak 6 different languages. We present on the radio weekly programs in the 6 different languages. So we've practiced this community-led kind of practice. And so in reading the activities that you have for me, and being here as Pacific Health and Welfare, I'm just a humble servant who was offered this morning to come in and present our recommendations. So in saying that, the first one is to ensure strong alignment between council and community. Whilst we empower communities, we cannot leave them to do these things on their own. Yes, we have abilities, but we're busy. We have a lot of other priorities to do, so we cannot leave this mahi to our communities alone. We need to ensure that the foundation is strong, and I believe that if we get it right locally, we will get it right regionally. We will get that regional cohesiveness that we so much need. We will get that regional coordination, and we will get that regional communication that we need to ensure our people are informed about the harms of smoking and the harms of vaping, but the opportunities of vaping as well. So I'm really passionate about ensuring our local people bring their voices and their expertise to this action plan. So I'm so excited about that. And I'm excited about what this action plan can do for our communities that's more than just stop smoking, about lifting our competencies within the community. The ability to look at financial literacy. If you stop smoking, you're going to save this amount of money. Vaping is so much cheaper. Look at how much you can save. Well, let's start talking about budgeting then. We can start thinking about planning and engaging. How do we do these things? How do we engage in local local policy and decision making? This kind of work empowers our communities in so many other different levels when done really well. And so in saying that, I want to move to our next recommendation around ensuring that we are ethnic specific. And hallelujah, thank you for breaking down the data by Cook Island, Tongan, Samoan, Niuean, because as Pacific people, we are not all Samoan. So good though, I married a Samoan, so hey. And in that context, you have specified that we will look at wahine Māori. I love that specificity, because when you make your messages for them, it will work for them. General messages, well, we've seen how that works. You look at Pacific men, we have access to kava groups, Tongan men, and we have one right here with us, will be able to use their own cultural systems and networks to bring the message around stop smoking in a lot more meaningful way for them. Same with our Fijian men and our Samoan. We'll be able to use the churches and use specific ways to deal with our specific community. So we do ask that you've broken it down, the data ethnic specifically. We can do that with our actions and activities as well. And then the third recommendation is to ensure strong research and publications, because you know for us, and look, we're arguing about evidence today. Well, where is the evidence for Pacific? Where is the evidence for Māori in South Auckland? Maybe not nationally, but maybe just here. Where is that information? So you have the funding and the resource to do this well. We've got the Pacific Island Families Longitudinal Studies based in South Auckland at AUT. 1,400 Pacific people, the children been followed since birth. They've interviewed the mother, the father, the school teacher, and now the actual baby that was born in 2000. We have so much data. So we need to be able to use it, and we need to be able to publish it, and we can do this for me, as Pacific people, we can own this, we can lead it. So thank you so much for having us to say that, you know, this plan is great and we totally support it. So thank you. Whakawelahi.
Thank you for a sign. Malo lelei, kore peke hufanga ngai whakatapu po koto pek was whamai me moani, ka tā moa ku whapea ki whakagik, e ngā we. Greetings. My name is Fore Finau. I'm with Healthy Families Waitakere. I want to wave the flag a bit here for West Auckland. It seems to be quite an emphasis for South Auckland. So yes, West Auckland is at the table. I just want to support all my colleagues' comments here. And for Healthy Families, our thing is around collaboration. When it comes to the smoke-free grants, for example, if you're going to run a competitive funding model again, that's not conducive to well-being, because what we want from our organizations is to work together. For example, how can Rānui 135 work with the whānau that can provide the wraparound services? How then can they work with Whakatautua to provide mental health and financial capability services? So when you're funding these smoke-free grants, please don't silo these groups so that they just deliver on their little bit. Encourage groups to work together and fund them accordingly. The other thing is too, when you fund these smoke-free grants for Pacific communities, actions or events is also part of recruiting into these initiatives. So that needs to be recognized in the funding also, that it's not just this that's going to happen, it's actually this is part of the recruitment model. A lot of us will sit and watch, how's it going? Is it good? Is it working? Okay, I'm going to join in. And that needs to be recognized too. And so I encourage you to look at that funding model, move away from that competitive funding model, and fund collaboration. Malo.
I'm just going to open it up. Mitu, if you've got any closing comments, I'm then going to open it up for questions, and then we'll put the recommendation. So any closing comments, and then I'll open it up for questions?
Yeah, I think the thing we'd like to leave you with is we're here to help. So use us. Thank you.
Councillor Bartley and then Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for your presentation. Well done. I just wanted to ask, do you share the same concerns about vaping for Pasifika communities in particular? And what are your thoughts on Cancer Society's request that we do 50-50 with the budget? 50% of it be used on council implementation plan and 50% used on community activation, which according to the previous speakers, Mihi and Rebecca, it's actually should all go on community, is what I picked up from that.
With regards to the budget, I think how council has it already, with the greater weighting going on communities is fine, but I think if you look at our first recommendation, the important thing is that what council does with its share is really important in laying strong foundations for what communities then are able to do to complement the council activities. So I think that community actions will add depth and value to the strong foundations that council are able to implement through their areas of responsibility and accountability. In terms of vaping, the jury's out on that. I think there's a lot of consultation that needs to happen. Just between us, we have differing views. I think in terms of public places, it's definitely important to apply smoke-free, vape-free policies. We have concerns because vaping is occurring in our schools, in the primary area. I chair a board, a school board of trustees, and we're having issues. We're dealing with issues with children who are not just smoking, but smoking, vaping, and drugs, all three. And so we've got a really serious issue to face as to how we deal with the presence of vaping. It's not going to go away, and I think we just need to have a lot more dialogue and a meeting of the minds of the academics and those who live life day to day in our realities.
I just want to support Mitu around needing more for Pacific. Just in terms of vaping, I think it's really important that we give correct information to our communities, and Pacific Health and Welfare are able to, access information, translate that as they speak on air through our radio program. But what's lacking is some clear messages around what vaping is and what it is not, how vaping can help you if you are a smoker and you want to quit, but also where do you get quality vapes from? Where can you get quality juice so that your likelihood of quitting successfully is more likely to happen?
Councillor Cooper, and I think you're the last person. Oh, sorry, Deputy Mayor.
Hello. So thank you for all of your presentations, and I won't try every single language
because I'll get it wrong, but I acknowledge all of our Pacifica partners especially in our West Auckland community. Just in terms of the comment from Healthy Families, and I know that Healthy Families Waitakere do a really great work in kind of working with all of our community providers. You said you didn't want to kind of silo the money, and I absolutely agree. We shouldn't do that because we're playing people off, and we do collaboration and cooperation really well in West Auckland. Have you got a suggestion of how we could do it better in terms of, should it be with one organisation and then they're managing all that with all the provider organisations? What do you think would be a better way of doing it?
I think, first off, it needs to be very clear from the funders, so yourselves, that your message before you ask for this is that you want people to collaborate. When it comes to groups coming together, I don't think it's right that you then say, okay, Fono, you're going to lead it, but everyone's going to be working with you. Everyone needs to be empowered in this process, so they all need to have the same accountability to the funds, but also that makes them more accountable to the community, because they can see that there's real input from everyone at the table, which keeps everyone accountable to each other, but more importantly to the community. So it does really need to be driven by the funders to not encourage or just put it in policy to say that you have to work together. We're not going to fund you by yourself. You have to work with so-and-so.
Can I also just add, I think you need to be really careful when you're judging the proposals coming through. There are those who are really good at writing proposals, not so good on the ground. So you've got to weigh those things up.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thanks.
Councillor Cashman.
Chairman Filipaina. Great presentation. Love your passage. Love your focus on the community. My question is, but our funding is limited in this area, and it's in truth probably more of a Ministry of Health issue that they should be focusing on. So how well aligned is the Ministry of Health with what you're trying to do and what Council's trying to support you to do?
Well, I think that's the beauty of being an organisation that's interested in health, education and welfare. Many of us are from health, and so we know the health angle, but we're also in education and welfare. So I think we can be smart about the way that health allocates its funding, so that we're not, so we know what the gaps are in our communities. And so if we're smart as a Pacific people, and if you're smart, and if we're both aligned, we'll know what the gaps are, and we'll be investing in the right gaps between health and council.
Can I also just add that your council team have done a fantastic job in identifying the specific suburbs to implement this in. So we're not doing a cross-blanket approach across Auckland Regional. It's specific, and it's in there. It's Papakura, Manurewa, Mangere, Otahu, Glennon, it's Point England, Avondale. It's wonderful.
I get that it's targeted. Is the Ministry of Health equally targeted in those same focus areas? So the jam's getting spread a bit thin.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, no, this is a great plan.
If there's no further questions, Fole, Malo El Pito, Stephanie, Whakawilahi, e Metua, me taki mātana. So Josephine has moved, Councillor Bartley has moved the recommendation. Yeah. Member Brown has seconded the recommendation. So before I put it, I just want to acknowledge everybody that has spoken. Thank you so much. Enjoy your vegetarian lunch. And I'm now going to move the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank